guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we have a really cute designing tutorial for you. We are going to show you how to design faux stitching in Silhouette Studio. Alright guys, so here we are in Silhouette Studio, and we're here to talk about faux stitching, which is a really cute design accent that you can either use for a printable, or you can even use it with your finished projects such as cardstock or vinyl, heat transfer vinyl, those sorts of things. So we're going to take a look at both aspects, whether you're printing and then also whether you're going to actually cut the design. So first, let's talk about what faux stitching is. I'm going to just type out a quick little text. And for faux stitching, anytime you're using text, you're really better off choosing a font that is on the thicker side. And that'll make more sense once you actually take a look at it. Now, of course, this is a free text that I scored, well, I guess maybe not free, it just feels free, but I scored it as part of my Plus membership, so that always works really good with my budget. Now, the only thing that I want to do, let's take a look here, is see how this text does have accents. So I am going to go ahead and release the compound path and ungroup it, and then I'm going to delete all these little accent pieces. So I'm going to select everything, hold down Shift, and I'm just going to go through and click the outlines of all my letters. Now this is a process of deselecting. So basically it leaves only those accent pieces selected. So I'm going to delete those out. But guys, if you're working with a font that doesn't have those accent pieces, you won't have to worry about that. But I just really like that font. It was really cute and it works well with our design today. So it was a really good opportunity to also go ahead and show you how you're going to deal with fonts like that with those types of accents. Let's go ahead and group these together. And I did remake the compound path. I don't know if you saw me do that, but if you right click and choose make a compound path. Now, if you're unsure about compound paths, we do have a video that you can check out in our library that will explain those really well. And I am going to go ahead and just make sure it's centered to page. Now, what I want to do, the easiest way to do this is to create an offset. I'm just going to leave it at the default, the 0.125, but feel free to adjust it. Let's group the offset together. And what I want to show you, let's make the offset a different line color. Let's choose purple. So we now have our original text is purple, our offset is red. So I'm going to choose our original, and I'm going to come up here to the line styles, and we have all these dashed line options. Now I do usually choose the last option here, and then I'm going to thicken these up. And this is what I'm talking about with faux stitching. We're basically taking a design and making it look like it has stitching around the outside. Now, I can pretty much choose any type of pattern. Let's just grab one from the default patterns in Silhouette Studio. And then, of course, we can change the outline color of the main, or of the offset. We can change that to transparent. Okay, so taking a look at this, you can see it is really, really cute. I actually use this a lot for kids and baby designs because, I don't know, they seem to really go hand in hand. And basically, if you were going to print this out, say you are using a printable transfer, or you're going to print it on cardstock, you're going to make a card out of it, something like that. I'm going to come over to send, and what I will do is just make sure here, let's ungroup that. So now I'm going to make sure that I have the outline selected. And I do just want it to be selected on cut, and make sure it's on cut and not cut edge. That's an important aspect. And then for the lines on the inside, I just want to make sure that those are no cut. And you can zoom in if you want. Let's go ahead and zoom in and see what all this looks like up close. Okay, so this is how you would cut the offset, and it would leave the inside letters with that design, and you don't have to worry about it cutting out. So this is how you would add this type of accent to a printable or a print and cut. Now let's talk about if I actually wanted to cut this and apply it using, we'll even say fabric. You can cut this in fabric and add the accent. You can do it in pattern heat transfer vinyl. You can even do it in regular heat transfer vinyl, but it really goes really good with an accent as a pattern. So and this is the reason why I centered it page. Let's move this out of the way. And what I want to show you, come back in here and select it to cut. And let's zoom in. What I want to show you is see how this is selected to cut the dash through the inside. That is not what you want to do. Okay, because then obviously you're just going to end up with a dashed line and you're not going to end up with the actual cutout of the dashed design. So what I do is I switch this over to black just to make sure that I get the best results possible. And then I come over here with my trace and I just trace the design. Now for tracing, like I said, I switch it to black and then I usually scale down from 10 to 4. That just gives me the smallest pixel, so to speak, to fill in the design. And then just make sure that your design is nice and filled in so you can increase the threshold if you need to. So then just choose trace. And we're going to zoom in again and we're going to delete the original. And that's going to leave our trace lines. So now, even if I fill it back to the same purple, let's go back over to the send panel and zoom in again. And it's actually going to cut the dashed line and not just a basic cut line through the middle of it. So hopefully that makes sense. So now what I would do is I could line this back up and I could cut the dashed outline either with the design, and I'll show you what that looks like, or I could cut it separate. So let me move this up because I want you to see them both at the same time. Okay, what I would do is I'm going to select one and I will make a compound path. Now, because it was filled with a pattern, it didn't pick up real well, but if I change it to a solid color, you'll see that what it's going to do is it will actually just cut that out. So if I'm putting this on a shirt where the shirt underneath is going to be a contrasting color, then what I can do is just cut this out and it will just allow the color of the shirt to come through, or tote bag, or whatever the project is. This is what I would do if I'm going to use this for either a small design or use it for adhesive vinyl. The reason I say that is because all these little dashed pieces are going to be really hard to keep track of, especially if you're doing this on a smaller design. So this is what I would do if given a choice. And then you could even layer, a solid color underneath if you need to. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. To do that, we would create another offset. And this one doesn't have to be a big offset. Go ahead and group it together. And let's just choose any contrasting color will be fine. As a matter of fact, let's make the bottom color the darker color and the top color a lighter color, and I think it'll illustrate it better. There we go. So now I can cut this part and allow it to cut out this part of the design. Now, I'm not going to lie, it would not be easy to weed. Okay, that's something that you would have to have the patience for, or sometimes you can go in and snag those little pieces with your transfer tape. But it allows you to add that faux stitch design without having to worry about losing all of those little pieces. Because the one thing I've learned about adhesive vinyl is that smaller pieces, they never weed well, and they also never stay adhered well. So just something to think about. Now, let's just go ahead and talk about our regular design. We would be able to cut it and apply it just as it is. Okay, so we would cut that as two separate pieces. We would cut whatever pattern or solid we're using, and then we would cut the outline, and then we would layer them back together. And ultimately, that's what we would do here too. Okay, but I just wanted to show you the difference of what you can do with that type of faux stitching, and then also when you can either make the compound path, you can also achieve the same look by subtracting, and by the look I'm talking about this one here. So basically you can get an internal faux stitching versus the original we worked with is an external faux stitching. And I don't know that those are official terms, but those are the terms that I have dubbed them. And then you can choose whether you do or do not want or need to layer them. But like I said, they look really, really good with some patterns. So let's do it again. And I just want to choose, let's do a shape this time also. So I'm just going to add a heart. And this is from my Flexi Shapes. Now remember, you have to have Designer Edition Plus or higher. But I have this little heart here. Really, really cute. And what I can do is the same exact concept. I can change the line style to a dashed line, a perforated line. And then I can slowly increase the thickness. Now the thickness, watch, as I increase the thickness, it will proportionately space out the dashed lines so that they don't just start all blending together. So I also like that feature. So you can make them as thick or as thin as you want. And then of course, make sure you do your offset. Now, once I do the offset, I can actually just switch that back to a regular line and change the thickness also. So what I can do now, just to show you how you can pair this up, I just have these really cute Easter spring patterns. So I can drag and drop these over. Of course, I got these from Design Bundles, and use it to fill my design. Now, you do want to make sure that you are actually filling the background, the offset. You do not want to fill the shape that has your dashed lines because that's not actually the part that you're going to want to fill with the pattern. Okay, but now I can choose any contrasting color. Let's choose, how about like a darker blue? If you're interested in setting up a custom line color, then you can come in here and go to your advanced options and select, so there's a navy. So that looks pretty cute. I like that a lot. So let's make sure that we select the red outline. We need to get rid of that. It doesn't actually make a difference for your cutting or your printing as long as your outline is set to 0, but it makes a visual difference to me. So that's just, an example where you can use a shape and achieve the same look. Now, of course, if I was going to cut this, then I would do the same tracing pattern to make sure that it's actually going to cut my dash line, and then I would layer them after the fact. But it is important, in my opinion, it's important to make sure that your stitching, if possible, should be in a contrasting color that also complements your design. So for example, I could have chosen, a purple, I could have chosen a dark gray or a black, but I'm not going to want to choose, for example, I can use my dropper and choose this light yellow. Okay, it may match the design, but there's no contrast. It doesn't stand out on the design. So if you have a darker pattern, you're going to want to use lighter colors. If you have a lighter pattern like this one, then you're going to want to use darker colors. I can just as easily come in here and select, really the only darker color is going to be this brown. And then that'll make sure that it matches exactly. But being that I have the yellows and the teals and the cream and the white, then I think a dark blue matches also. So completely up to you, whichever way you want to go, but I think a contrasting color looks really good. So let's just take a look at one more font that I picked out to show you guys today. Also, I'm showing you guys in all caps, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use all caps. Just use your best judgment whenever you pick out and you look at the font that you're using. And this one is a little bit thinner, but I just wanted to show you that you can still achieve a similar look with not as thick of a font because you can still use that offset. So I'm still going to use our center to page. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create an offset of the text, hit apply. Group it together, and then I'm going to select the original line, the original text, change to that dash line, and then start increasing my line thickness. Now for this one, I really want to either match or get close to the same line thickness that I used for the outline of the heart. So that part's up to you, but I do want them to at least look like they belong together, in my opinion. And then I can select both of these and choose, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move these out of the way because what I need to do is trace this first. So here what I'm doing is I'm showing you guys how you can actually combine the two to get a really cute project. So I can right click and make a compound path. Remember, we learned that just a few steps ago. Select that blue, change my line color from red to transparent, and insert that to the back. So now what I've done is I've selected a nice faux stitching around my heart, but then I also have a really cute faux stitching on top, and what that's going to do is it's going to make the design look corresponding, but yet still give them both distinctive looks. Whereas I've subtracted out the stitching and the words so that the pattern underneath will show through. The stitching on the heart is actually I will cut it out and apply it on top of the pattern. So for example, if I was using pattern heat transfer vinyl for this, I would simply select the line, select the words, we can group those together. So I would be able to cut this shape from the pattern, cut this from, the solid or the glitter or whatever I'm going to use and apply it directly on top. And it will just be a 2-layer design that, like I said, will just be really, really cute. In my opinion, I think it's really cute. I really do like the faux stitching. And we do have a follow-up video where I'm going to show you how to make faux shirt pockets and then also faux patches, which is really cute for kids' clothing. And this method will also come in handy for both of those projects. So I'm super excited to show those to you. And but for now, guys, this is faux stitching, and hopefully the project made sense on whether you will layer or not layer, subtract it out or subtract it out. I really think with faux stitching, you can't go wrong whichever look you end up going for. So this is the basics of it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. So guys, how did you feel about our faux stitching tutorial? Now, hopefully you enjoyed it and hopefully it was not too intimidating. You know, it's just one of those neat little things that you can do in Silhouette Studio, and surprisingly, it makes a pretty big impact on your overall design. You could really turn a pretty basic font into a really cute design, whether it's for, you know, little ones like we talked about, which, you know, is probably my favorite, or just, you know, a quirky little design that you had in mind. So guys, I really appreciate you stopping by today. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those below. I love to hear from you guys, and I certainly don't mind answering questions. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that's what helps to keep us bringing you these videos in the future. I love all the support that you guys show for us. It really means a lot to me. And guys, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate when you stop by and pay me a visit. And I'm going to wrap it up, but see you again next time.